Welcome back to Tipsy Whiskey Shenanigans. I'm Steven, and tonight, whenever the heck you're watching this, we are getting into sub 100 proof bourbons. But before we do that, please do me that favor, like, comment, and subscribe. That helps us out a ton, and we seriously appreciate the support. But let's get into today's video. So, I really enjoyed the proof point video I did about 2 weeks ago or something like that. I'm gonna start a video series, if you will, of different kind of proof points and the bottles within those proof points that I have in my collection that I really like. So today I'm bringing you the ones sub 100 proof, and not gonna lie, because my sub 100 proof collection is a little bit on the limited side, you might see some repeatable bottles, but not too many of those if we're being honest. But there's one repeatable one. But let's kick right off with it. I'll get right into the repeatable one. The one that was in the previous collection, because it is dead on 90 proof, but it is one of my favorite accessible, not easy to find, but like it's just a crushable sub 100 proof bourbon. And that is Eagle Rare. These picks. I'm fortunate enough to live in Arizona where, for whatever reason, we get a decent amount of Eagle Rare and Buffalo Trace drops at like Total Wine, Fry's, things of that nature. Like, we get a decent amount of the easy Buffalo Trace stuff. Not any of the fancy stuff that we really like, but we get a decent amount of kind of these things. So I've been fortunate enough to pick up quite a few Eagle Rare picks. I mean, Jordan, my co-host, he has like 3,000 Eagle Rare picks. I swear to God, I've bought 3 from him already. So he has a ton of those. I really like these because these are just 90 proof, $35 if you can buy them at like a Total Wine, which is where I buy mine. So like, you know, when I do find them, they're usually really cheap. They're really great. Honestly, it's just crushable Buffalo Trace that typically is a little bit better than Buffalo Trace. That being said, that is the only one that's at 90 because, quite frankly, I'm a bit of a proof enthusiast, if you will, and some of these bottles are going to be a little bit more on the budget-ishy side, just because you know, if it's under 100 proof, I'm usually not spending a ton of money on them. And honestly, this is going to be one of my favorite ones that I really enjoy. Also, that being said, some of these are not also cheap, but let's get right into it with kind of the constant gold standard, Elijah Craig. Are you surprised that this is on a lower than 100 proof list? This is my gold standard. This is my, you know, my North Star, if you will. This is one of my favorite go-to bourbons. I'm thinking of a budget pour. This is it. I'm thinking of a accessible, I'm going to show you into a whiskey. This is it. Like, this is my go-to everyday crushing pour, readily available, easily findable, cheap. It checks all the boxes for sub 100 proof $35 bourbon. I can't think of anything else. I've talked a ton about that in the past, so we're just skipping on past that, getting right into the first one that I find dumb exciting, and that is going to be one of my absolute favorites of all time, the best, and I repeat, the best toasted product. Old Forester 1910. This is 93 proof, and it is probably the greatest sub $60 bourbon on the market, at least for like a toasted product. It is toasted, so you have to like toast it to really like it. But this is one of my favorite. This is my favorite from the Whiskey Row series. This is one of my favorite sub 100. This is, honestly, this one is my favorite on this entire list. I'm just realizing this now, but I absolutely love this. This is toasted without being too toasted. It's toasted, but it still has a nice presence of oak, body, the toastiness, pulls out a little bit of that Old Forester banana. So it has that really enjoyable toasted marshmallow, caramel bomb thing going on, like sit next to a campfire, drinking, eating some s'mores type vibe, and not being too far in that realm either, because if you haven't seen in the past, I've talked a little bit crap about Woodford Reserve. Not that I think it's bad, I just think it's a little bit too much, it's a little bit too sweet, where this does not struggle from that, because I think it's a really well balanced toasted product, which quite frankly is hard as heck to find. And honestly, again, my favorite sub 100 proof bottle. I absolutely love that bottle, and it's only like 55 bucks in my area, so it's an absolute steal. And then moving on to the bottle that kind of started my addiction with finished whiskeys, Doc Swinson's Alter Ego. I do have the cash strength version of this, and I'll be honest, they only charge like $10 more for it. So like this isn't inherently as good of a value as that one is, but this one's still absolutely incredible. It's like 60 bucks or so, and it is going to be a 95.8 proof, 47.9% ABV MGP blend that is finished in straight bourbon whiskey, finished in sherry and cognac casks. I believe it's 2 different sherry casks or 2 different cognac casks. Don't really remember off the top of my head, but these are absolutely incredible. It is, you know, all that MGP just packed with a little load of fruit. And this started my journey down that whole finish route to see where finish could go. What does it do? You know, why? All that jazz. Like I said, I do really, really like the cash strength version significantly better. Stay tuned. It's probably going to be on another episode. That being said, this one's really, really good, and it started my journey. And I still do think it's definitely worth the, you know, 60 bucks or so that it's, you know, charged for. But again, I'm kind of... Once you open up that other can of worms, it's kind of hard to go back. Like the other one's just, man. All right, moving on. Still Austin, low proof Magician. This stuff is $40 in my area, and it is the best way to get into Texas bourbon today at a low cost margin. This stuff is, the reason I say this is very accessible to a lot of people is because they distill it a little differently than your average Texas distillery. A lot of Texas distilleries focus really heavy on pot still. They use a column still. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I'm 90% sure I'm not wrong. They use a column still, which is kind of more traditional to a Kentucky or MGP style whiskey. So because of that, you get a like more accessible, less of that like intense, robust Texas-y influence on a whiskey. So this is a really, really good accessible way to get into Texas whiskey without quite getting, you know, all that Texas insanity and intensity. And also these are, you know, really, really, really good for a pretty incredible price. And last, but definitely not least, honestly, probably the best tasting whiskey on this list, not necessarily my favorite because it's not cheap. It is going to be Middle West Spirits Double Cask Collection. This is going to be the Sherry Cask Finished Bourbon. So it starts in heavily toasted American white oak, and then it is finished in some blackened Spanish Solera sherry casks, which I'll be honest, this is like probably one of my favorite. This is the best tasting lower than 100 proof bourbon I have in my collection, because I got a lot of pretty good scotch and, you know, whatnot, but this is the only one I have that's a bourbon that's like, man, this is out of this world incredible. These are $100, so they're not cheap in any which way, but I do definitely think those are absolutely worth it. Is it as much value as the 1910? No, that's why I do value the 1910 over that, but I do think that's an incredible pour. So if you are somebody who likes lower proof pours, but you want something that's like extremely mature and exciting and interesting in a different world, and you're looking to spend like around that $100 mark, I think anything from the Middle West Spirits that comes in this tube, they have 3 different ones. I think they have a wheat one, this bourbon one, and then I think there's a rye. It's a pumpernickel rye. Honestly, I've only tried this one, but I do definitely think they're all probably worth checking out, because man, this one's absolutely incredible. I can 100% vouch for this bourbon. It's real great. That being said, that is a wrap for today's list. This was my list of bourbons under 100 proof that I think are freaking incredible. Let me know down below what you thought about this list. Let me know down below what you thought about these bottles. What would you add? What would you remove? Let me know down below. I love hearing for it. That being said, like I said, that's a wrap. Cheers, y'all. We'll see you later.